Okay. So, y'all crack me up, by the way, how y'all still are like logged into my account and there's like 3 Morgan McIntyres, like usually at all times. It's either like Macy or Zoe will pop up as Morgan McIntyre. I get so confused. But anyways, it's just funny because we all use my Zoom ID for stuff. But all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So let me mute everybody because I'm echoing. Okay. So I just want to do like a show of hands. I know about half of y'all have your camera on already, so if you don't have it on, you might have to turn it on. But raise your hand if you feel like this month so far, if you're being honest with yourself, you feel like you've been kind of like, like lazy for lack of better words. I'm raising my hand. And you don't have to raise your hand. You can be honest and say like, no, I've been literally kicking tail. Okay, cool. All right, so half and half pretty much from what I can see. So some of us have been feeling just kind of like blah, lazy, whatever. Some people have been totally rocking it. I saw not everybody's hand went up, so that was good. And I mean, either way, be honest. So if you're honest and say, you know, yeah, I've been working really, really hard, good for you. Like, that's awesome. And if you can honestly sit here and say you've been lazy, I'm right there with you. It's wedding month for me, for those of y'all who weren't on here. Look at this. What the heck even? It's like all my wedding stuff. So like every basket is a table and we like divided up our table stuff. So all we have to do is set it on the different tables and just let the people that are in charge that day like spread everything out. Well, anyway, wedding month, like literally crazy. And I'm just like excited, you know, butterflies, just super pumped. And that my bachelorette party trip, whatever, this weekend, I leave Wednesday for that. So there's just so many different things happening. And so I feel like I've been super focused this whole entire time. But now, as soon as it hit August, it was wedding month. And I was like, woo, you know, and I just like have totally lost my focus, just to be completely honest with y'all. So if you feel like you've been, you know, more lazy this month too, I can relate to that. So I want us to talk about, you know, kind of how we can get back on track. And then I'm going to share with y'all some stuff that they talked about yesterday, which I thought was really cool. It was at church and I took 4 pages of notes. I won't share all of it with y'all, but just like a couple of the things that they said that stuck out that I thought could apply to this business. So for me, my lack of work ethic lack of work ethic this month has shown in my enrollments, because my enrollments have not been what they normally are. And I realized that whenever I woke up this morning. And so I've messaged more today than I have in a very long time, because I'm determined. I'm like, you know what, the best way to combat laziness and to combat not feeling like I want to do anything, because right now all I want to do is just get married. Like, I don't feel necessarily like working this business, but I know that I have goals that they're not going to happen if I don't work if I'm only working whenever I feel like it, the goals that I have are not going to be accomplished. But if I work despite how I feel, I know that I will accomplish those goals. So I don't know if that makes sense, but so I always tell y'all, you know, work based on what you want, not how you feel. And so this morning I kind of had to give myself a kick in my own pants and say, you know, have I been doing that? And no, I haven't. So I messaged a ton of people today, working and just doing the activity that it takes to get to where you want is the easiest way to overcome just that like rut that you can find yourself in. So if you feel like you raised your hand because you just haven't been doing what you wanted to do or needed to do this month, and you feel like you might be in a little bit of a rut, whether you want to call it that or not, if you're not on fire and passionate, that's what it's called. It's a rut. And, you know, if you feel like you're in that right now, then be honest with yourself and work twice as hard as you normally would, or work twice as hard as you did yesterday, and just try to be better than you were the day before. And by doing that, you're going to feel excited again about this business, because I feel super excited about this business. But I know as leaders, you know, last month was crazy in a good way with the kits. And, you know, we did I don't even remember, all these months run together, but there was recently, you know, the free fit 15, there was the free fit 5, there was the, you know, double fast start bonuses, I think in June, there were the $20 kits. Like, there's just so many things happening, so many new distributors, so many new promotions. Congratulations, by the way. I know I've already said congratulations to pretty much everybody, but, you know, there's just been so many people coming into this business, and we're training people, and we, you know, had a lot of seeds that we've been planting harvest at the end of last month. So I'm sure for most of us, this beginning of this month is a whole lot of planting new seeds, because all of our other ones are either in the business or whatever. So I just know for me personally, and this is just me being super real and honest with y'all, because as a leader, I never ask you to be perfect. I just ask you to be open and honest. And so I want to do that with y'all too. And it's not anything that like did wrong, but you know, just looking at everything last month, I was like, okay, like I'm so flipping close to presidential, you know, like my volume is amazing. My volume last month was the highest it's ever been in my whole entire business. And I was like, this is great. You know, like I could not do anything this month and I would still maintain. I might even still promote because I know my team's working so hard. And that's just me being completely honest with y'all. And I'm not saying that that mindset's right at all. And what I'm telling y'all is that I do slip into those mindsets, and I do have those moments where I'm like, I'm cool. Like I could just not do anything and I'll be fine. And that's a really dangerous place to be, because yeah, I could technically do nothing this month and still be completely fine and have a great paycheck and maintain my rank, and people on my team would still promote. But one, I would not get the chance to be a part of it because I've removed myself from working and putting in my own effort. Number two, who wants to maintain a rank? Like, that's such a little goal. I want to promote. I don't know about y'all, but I'm over maintaining freaking triple diamond. I'm ready to promote and go presidential. And so that's one thing too, is like, if my mindset is just like, maintain this rank, like I'm good at, you know, I'm good at Ruby. I'm making good paychecks. I'm fine here. If I just get in that mindset, then I can become really stuck really fast. And so, I'm trying to think of what else I was going to say. So, you know, I could have said that this month I could just, you know, take off and not do anything, but you have to think about this business is not about this month. Like what you do this month does not determine this month. So right now, the work that you're putting in actually doesn't really, like, it helps you this month, of course, but what you're really doing, like the messaging that you're doing, the posting that you're doing, the following up that you're doing is actually for the October. Because your business is always 2 months behind your efforts. And so what I got to thinking was, yeah, August is going to be great. You know, our volume's going to be amazing. We're going to have people promote. You know, I'm trying to promote this month. And then I start to think about, okay, well, what happened last year that I don't want to happen again this year? And what happened last year was the month of the $10 kits, I got like complacent. I got very like, I was like, all right, cool. Volume's great. People are working hard. You know, everybody else is working really hard. So that means I don't have to work as hard as I was before. And then I ended up losing my rank. And I'm not saying that to scare y'all, but I'm saying that because that was my own fault. Because I stopped whenever my volume looked great. Everything looked awesome. I was like, I can just take off now. What I didn't realize, though, was that me taking off in July was going to hurt me a lot in September because I didn't have any seeds to harvest come September. Why? Because I didn't plant any in July. And so you have to remember that right now. It doesn't matter what your volume looks like now. It doesn't matter if you look like diamond is just in the bag for you and you're going to for sure hit it. It does not matter. You're not pushing necessarily for this month alone. You're pushing for this month and also September and October and November and December. And if you want that consistency in your volume and in your paycheck and in your business and in your promotions and the amount of promotions you have on your team, you have to push 24/7. And I'm not saying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is what 24/7 means. I get that. But what I was saying was like, you have to push every single day. And that may mean an hour a day for you. That may mean 2 hours a day for you. However you do this business, you should be doing it consistently every single day. And I just want to be honest with y'all and tell you that I have not been doing that for the 1st through the 5th. And, you know, I was working, I've enrolled people, but it wasn't like I normally do. Y'all know I'm always on it. I'm always fired up. I don't work 24/7. I don't work all day long, but I'm always excited and fired up. And this month I found myself getting complacent for all the reasons that I shared above. And none of those are excuses that should make me stop working, but they did. And so I just want y'all to know that, number one, whenever that happens to you, because it will if it hasn't yet, just know that as your leader, I'm not perfect and it happens to me too. But two, that you can overcome that and you don't have to get stuck in that rut and just sit there and be like, oh, dang, well, I don't feel like working and I wasted the first 5 days of the month. And so now what am I going to do? You know, you can take that and you can either stay there or you can recognize it and then you can do something to change it and get closer to where you want to be. So that's what I would encourage y'all to do, and that's what I have done, and I did make that change today. I'm going to read those in a minute because I'm going to get distracted. But all right, so what I want y'all to do is, if you can, if you're using your phone, I don't know how easy this is going to be to do this, but write down your why in the chat and write down your goals. Because I want us to all remember, because I know a lot of people raised their hands and said, yeah, I have been lazy this month. So I want us, and I'm going to do this too, write in the chat, what is your why right now? Not why you joined this business. I'm not going to write down gas money. That's not my why. That was my old why. What's my new why? If you don't know your new why and you raised your hand and said that you were lazy, that's probably why, because you don't know what you're working for. So you should have a clear, exact reason and thing that you're working for. And if it's a dollar amount, you better attach a why to it. So if you're saying I'm working for $5,000 a month, okay, but why? Why $5,000 a month? And if you say I'm working so I can stay at home with my kids, okay, but how much do you need to do that? You have to have both. So that's what I want to see y'all to do. So if you're saying you want to be debt free, tell me how much you need to do that. And if you don't want to put it on the chat, that's fine, but you just need to know in your head how much it is. I have 2 checks on my wall right now with the exact amount that Derek owes for his car and the exact amount that I owe for my car, because that's the only debt that we have left. And I know exactly to the cent how much I owe on my car. And so that is what I look at every single day. Whenever I'm sitting here, I can look at that wall and now I can remember what I'm fighting for, because I do want to be debt free. I know Beth said that earlier. So hang on, let me write mine down really quick and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read back through these. I just can't look at them right now, but I do want to read these. But, okay, so the other thing is to talk to your new distributors every single day. So you remember those people that you signed up last month that were so excited? So some of them are not going to do anything. Just know that. And it's okay. It's okay. Some people are going to join. They're going to leave. They're not going to ever message you back, or they'll do their training and then they'll say, you know what, this is just too hard. And you're like, no, it's not. They're like, well, I don't have time. And you're like, that's why you joined. And they're like, meh. So that's going to happen. Just know that's okay. It's normal. I've had that too. But the ones who are running, that's who I want you to focus on, and I want you to message them every stinking day. And that's not just for the people who you signed up personally. It includes the people who were placed underneath you. Create that relationship with them. Make sure that they feel loved, that they feel included, that they know about the Zooms. You know, have you messaged everybody that you signed up last month and told them about the Zoom tonight that's going to help them? Have you reached out to them and said, how was your weekend? You know, and it doesn't have to be all about the business, because people join the business for the money, but they stay for the friendships. And so make sure that you've got both, that you are there as a leader for them to help them, but that they also feel that friendship and that you know what's going on in their life, and you can sit there and say, hey, you know, how is so-and-so, and name their kid by name. That's so important to people. So just make sure that you're messaging them every single day. I usually like to hold their hand like that for the first month. If you haven't heard about the Reach app, get the Reach app. It's amazing because you can literally just send the same message to everybody and it takes like 10 seconds. So you can Google the Reach app if you've never heard of it. It's Reach, as like REACH. And it's green. Okay, so now I want to share with you all some notes from church yesterday. Like, as he was talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell them about this. So, he was talking about, hang on, let me get this whole office is just stressing me out. I cannot even deal with this. There's stuff everywhere. Like, my closet is oozing wedding things, which is super fun, but also I'm super type A and organized, and like I hate clutter, and I'm just about to go insane. Okay, so all right, so he's talking about 2 Chronicles chapter 14, and he was talking about, like, the main verse of the passage was it was verse 1 through 7, and you can read this on your own, but basically it was talking about this this guy who was just like known for seeking the Lord. And I thought it was really cool because he was saying, like, whenever you seek the Lord, you'll find him. And that's a verse in a different passage in the Bible, but it's talking about when you seek the Lord and you seek him with all your heart, you will find him. And, you know, he was talking about like a girl and a guy relationship. Like, whenever the guy starts to like pursue the girl's like, like she's really into him, but she's like, I don't know, let me check my schedule because I might have something to do. I don't know if I can go out on Saturday. And they play hard to get. Well, he was like, God is the opposite of playing hard to get. He wants to meet you in your place of need. So whenever you seek him, you're going to find him, and it's going to be very easy to find him because he wants to be found and he wants you to seek him. And so he will make himself known to you as you're doing that, which I thought was cool. I never really thought of it that way. And then 2 Chronicles 16:9, I'm going to go fast, but y'all can just jot these down. It says, the eyes of the Lord search the whole earth in order to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to them. And so it was talking about, like, whenever you seek God, a couple of things will happen. Number one, you're going to discover your purpose. And I think a lot of people in this business, even whenever you get to higher ranks or wherever you're, you know, making enough money to do the things that you join this business for, like, you can make the money to pay your bills. Maybe you've quit your jobs and you don't have to work anything else. You know, and It Works is paying for all of your bills. And so you're like, okay, well, what is my purpose in It Works now? Because I've gotten everything that I need. You know, why would I need to work any harder? And so God can show you that purpose if you're seeking him to say, you know, hey, what do you want from me? Not only in my life, but through It Works. Our number one income earner, Stephanie and Joel, sponsor a whole entire African village. And we're able to build a fence around that village and be able to build a school in that village for those kids. And they had to have, you know, sought the Lord for that. And he was like, yeah, I want to use you for this. And they were obedient to that. Now they're changing lives in a different continent because they just sought the Lord. So seek the Lord and see what he would have you to do with this business and the money that you're making from it. And then it says, whenever you seek God, he will give you rest. And I know a lot of us are tired, whether physically or emotionally. I know that a lot of us have been going through a lot of things, or mentally, or just with this business, you're tired. But God, it says whenever you seek him, you're going to find rest. And it talks about Matthew 11:28-30, which I think is the verse that says, you know, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light, or something like that. And so that is, who doesn't want rest? You know, and rest can mean a lot of different things, but just that peace and that comfort that comes from finding your rest in the Lord. And then it says, whenever you seek God, he provides strength. Strength for challenges. Okay, so then it was talking about in verse 11 from chapter 14, it was talking about, I think it was verse 11. Yeah, it was just saying, like, God basically protected them and came and helped them because they put their trust in the Lord alone. And he gives them strength for the battles. And then in verse 8, this person was reminding Asa of all of this. Asa is the guy that was seeking the Lord. He was reminding Asa, and he says, remember what happened with the army that was way bigger than you? God delivered them into your hand. And so a lot of times we come up against these oppositions that seem like they're so much bigger than us. And he was talking about, the pastor was talking about, like, when we face opposition, and even if we know we're going to beat this thing or that we're going to win, or because the Lord told us, hey, I'm going to deliver you from this, we just automatically think that's going to be easy. But it's not always that way. And so he was talking about, like, how his son plays lacrosse and they, like, blew this team out of the water. And he was like, you know, how did you feel about that game? Like, I feel bad for the team that lost. And he was like, the little kid, his son was like, no, dude, that was amazing. I want every game to be like that. And at first the pastor was like, where did I go wrong as a father? Like, why is he, like, so glad to, like, demolish these children? And he was like, but then I thought about it, and that's how we all want every single opposition and obstacle to be, is like, we know we're going to overcome it, but we want it to be like a just total demolition, like easy, just piece of cake to overcome it. But it's not always like that. We're going to come across opposition that isn't going to always be super easy for us to overcome, but we will overcome it. And then it was talking about Romans 8:28. And it says, I don't have time to flip to all these, but it says, but the Lord will work everything hang on, wait. The Lord will, like, work everything out according to his riches for those who love him and are called according to his purpose and stuff like that. I have, like, all these other verses stuck in my head. I can't remember how that one starts, but, so he's gonna bring everything out for good, you know, even if those things were bad things that came into your life or opposition or whatever. And that could be with this business, that can be with your personal life, but we're all going to face opposition, and just know that God is going to take that and he's going to turn it into the good of those who love him. And there's another verse, Genesis 50:20, which was what was stuck in my head and why I couldn't think of the Romans verse, but it was, what the enemy intended for evil, God meant for good. And it's talking about the end of the story of Joseph. And so then, yeah, I'm just reading some of these bullet points that I wrote. So then it was talking about, like, searching for God and then being committed to him. And it said the commitment to God is active, and commitment to God does the hard thing. So he was saying, like, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So God may ask you to do things that you don't want to do. Maybe it's going to a place to live that you don't want to live, or, you know, giving back to this certain thing or this certain amount, and you don't want to do that. But committing to the Lord, you do those hard things anyways. And then it was saying, like, in 2 Chronicles 15:17, it was talking about how that guy Asa that was seeking the Lord, it said, although not all of the pagan shrines were removed from Israel, Asa's heart remained completely faithful throughout his life. So then his bullet point on that was, like, you don't have to be perfect. Your life doesn't have to be perfect. He didn't remove all of the shrines that he wanted to, but his heart never went away from being faithful to God, and it always was faithful to the Lord. And so it's saying, although he didn't do everything perfectly, he was fully committed to God his whole life. Commitment to God does not have to be perfect, but it is active and it does the hard thing. And then he's saying that the state of your heart is greater than the status of your activity. But, and that goes with this business too, because I was thinking about, like, you know, the state of your heart, like, I don't know, I don't want to even interpret this, because I want you to interpret it however you want to, instead of thinking it about the way that I'm thinking it. So I won't even tell you how I'm thinking about it, but just let the Lord speak to your heart. But the state of your heart is more important than the status of your activity. And the status of your activity is very, very important. Like, doing things are very important, but they're not as important as the state of your heart. So he's saying the state of your heart is greater than the status of your activity. And then the cool part at the end of it was, like, he turned it all around and he was like, you know what? Asa sought the Lord, which was amazing, because it's really hard to seek the Lord every single day of your life. But they say that Asa is a man who did that. But not only does Asa seek the Lord, he wasn't perfect, but Jesus seeks God perfectly. Jesus, the Son, seeks the Father perfectly. And then it was turned it around again, and he was like, and not only that, not only do we seek God, and not only does Jesus gave us a perfect example of seeking God perfectly, but God also seeks us. And he gave us the challenge at the end, and he was like, you know, be able to be found. Like, be, I don't know what the word was, but it says, and God seeks me. He sought me before I was born, and he pursues me. But am I willing to be found by God? Because we talked at the very, very beginning about how, you know, God doesn't play hard to get. If we look for the Lord, we're going to find him. If we seek him, he says we'll find him, and that's true. But are we willing to be found by God? And so I think that that's something that resonated with me with the business and with just my life in general. So I just wanted to share that with y'all too, because I think that sometimes whether it applies to the business or not, we could all use encouragement. And I know a lot of us have been feeling the same way. We just raised our hands at the beginning of this about how we were feeling. So hopefully that did encourage you, and hopefully you see how I am as a leader. I always want to be very open and honest with you about any struggles that I have. And so I just want, you know, for y'all to hold me accountable just as much as I hold you accountable for working really hard, because I don't really have somebody that comes and checks in on me as an upline and says, you know, hey, how's your week going? Like, are you working hard? Are you doing, you know, all this stuff? I don't really have anybody that does that. I just kind of do it on my own. So feel free to come and hold me accountable to make sure that I am working hard, especially this month, because it's going to be easy for me to not be focused. And I'll always be honest with you, even if it's hard. But anyway, we're going to hop on to the regular team Zoom. Go ahead and text your teams, remind them that we're getting on there, and I love y'all very, very much. Mwah. Bye.